Once upon a time, in 1912, there was a grand ship named the Titanic. It was the world's biggest and most beautiful ship, and everyone was excited to see it. The Titanic was like a giant, floating palace with grand staircases, shining chandeliers, and many rooms. It had everything a person could want, and people thought it was unsinkable because it was so well built. On this magnificent ship was a young girl named Rose. She was 17 years old, with bright red hair and deep blue eyes. She was very wealthy and was traveling with her mother and her fiancé, a man named Cal Hockley. Rose's mother wanted her to marry Cal because he was rich and from a good family. But Rose didn't love him. She felt trapped in a life she didn't want. Despite having beautiful clothes and fancy things, Rose was unhappy. On the Titanic was also a young man named Jack Dawson. Jack was 20 years old with messy blonde hair and a warm, friendly smile. He didn't have much money, but he was full of dreams and loved to draw pictures of the world around him. Jack had won his ticket to the Titanic in a card game, and he was thrilled to be on the ship, excited to see what life had in store for him. One evening, as the sun set over the ocean, Rose felt more alone than ever. She was wandering around the ship, feeling overwhelmed by her life and the expectations placed upon her. She decided to go to the back of the ship and stand by the railing, staring at the dark water below. She felt like she couldn't breathe and thought about jumping into the ocean to escape her troubles. Just as Rose was about to make a terrible choice, Jack saw her from a distance. He quickly ran to her, his heart racing. "Please don't jump," he shouted as he approached. Rose turned, startled and angry. "Why do you care?" she asked. "Just leave me alone." Jack looked into her eyes with concern. "I care because you're special," he said gently. "You don't really want to do this. There's so much more to see and do." Rose saw the kindness in Jack's eyes and felt a glimmer of hope. Slowly, she stepped back from the edge, and Jack helped her away from the railing. They sat down together, and Rose shared her feelings with Jack. She told him how unhappy she was, how she felt like a bird in a cage, unable to fly free. Jack listened carefully and told Rose about his own life. He talked about the places he had traveled to, the people he had met, and his dream of becoming a famous artist. Even though Jack didn't have much money, he was rich in happiness and freedom. Rose was inspired by Jack's stories and began to feel a little better. As the days went by, Rose and Jack became close friends. They explored the Titanic together, discovering new parts of the ship and enjoying each other's company. They laughed, talked about their dreams, and had fun together. Jack taught Rose how to dance in the third-class area of the ship, where they met other passengers who were cheerful and friendly. Rose had never felt so alive. Jack and Rose began to fall in love. They shared many special moments, and Rose realized she didn't want to marry Cal. She wanted to be with Jack, the person who made her feel truly happy. But their love was not easy. Rose's mother and Cal didn't like Jack because he was poor. They tried to keep Rose away from him, but she didn't care. She wanted to follow her heart. One fateful night, the Titanic hit a massive iceberg. The ship started to sink, and chaos erupted. People were scared and rushed to the lifeboats. Jack and Rose knew they had to stick together, no matter what. They ran through the ship, trying to find a way to escape. The ship was tilting, and the cold water began to rise. Jack found a large piece of wood floating in the water and helped Rose climb onto it. The wood was big enough for her, but not for both of them. Jack held onto the edge of the wood, keeping Rose safe. "Promise me you'll survive, Rose," Jack said, his teeth chattering from the cold. "Promise me you'll live a full and happy life." Rose was crying, but she held Jack's hand tightly. "I promise, Jack," she said through her tears. "I promise I'll never forget you." As the night grew colder, Jack's strength began to fade. He could no longer hold on, but he kept thinking of Rose and their love. "I love you, Rose," he whispered. "You are my everything." Rose watched as Jack slowly drifted away into the icy water. She held on to his promise, knowing she had to survive and live a life full of love and adventure. Rose never forgot Jack. She lived a long and fulfilling life, just as she had promised him. She always remembered the boy who had taught her to live and love deeply. She kept his memory in her heart, and his love inspired her to find joy and meaning in every day. Many years later, when Rose was an old woman, she returned to the place where the Titanic had sunk. She carried a special necklace called the Heart of the Ocean, which reminded her of Jack. Standing at the edge of the ship, she looked out at the water and felt a deep connection to the past. With a heavy heart, she let the necklace fall into the ocean, sending it to be with Jack. Rose watched as the necklace sank into the depths, knowing it was a final farewell to the love she had lost, but would never forget. The story of Jack and Rose became famous, a tale of love, courage, and the power of keeping a promise. Their love, though brief, lived on in the hearts of everyone who heard their story, a reminder of how love can shine brightly, even in the darkest of times. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and had as much fun as I did making it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more exciting content. See you in the next video.